I spent years as the invisible servant to a family who hated me. When they finally threw me out, I disappeared. They thought they'd won, but they had no idea what was coming next. I came home from my second job smelling like burnt oil and humiliation. The driveway was pitch dark except for a flickering porch light. I clutched my backpack tighter, shoulders hunched against the cold, and slid open the door to the house. Inside, the air was heavy, the kind of heavy that warns you, this is not going to end well. No sound, no TV blaring, no clatter from the kitchen, just silence, thick and waiting. I stepped in, boots scraping the tile. Sierra was sprawled on the couch, her thumbs flying over her phone. She didn't even glance up. Marilyn clanged dishes in the kitchen, more noise than purpose. And Victor sat at the head of the dining table, arms crossed, face twisted into something between rage and disgust. "Look at you," Victor finally spat, his voice slicing through the stillness. "Reeking like a goddamn sewer rat." I froze, backpack halfway off my shoulder. I hadn't even spoken yet. "You think you can come in here, sit at my table, looking like that?" His face flushed red as he stood, chair screeching violently against the floor. Marilyn kept her back turned, pretending the pots needed her attention more than her own son getting torn apart. Outside, Victor growled, jabbing a finger toward the backyard. "Animals eat outside." Sierra snorted, a cruel, high-pitched laugh. She whipped out her phone and started filming. "Logan the grease monkey," she giggled. "Smile for the group chat, loser." "Turn it off," I muttered. "What was that?" she mocked, zooming the camera in until it was nearly jammed in my face. I said nothing. No point. I tightened my grip on my backpack and turned to grab a plate. Victor moved faster than I expected. In 2 strides he was in front of me, slapping the plate clean out of my hand. It shattered on the tile, shards skidding across the floor. His breath hit my face, beer and something sour. "You don't get a plate," he said, voice low and dangerous. "You eat like the mutt you are." I clenched my fists but kept my mouth shut. Rage bubbled under my skin, but exhaustion won. Always did. I grabbed a paper plate from the counter and filled it with cold chicken and soggy rice. Marilyn shoved open the sliding door so hard it banged the frame, making me flinch. Without a word, she nodded her head, out. Sierra followed me, laughing, the phone still rolling. As I stepped through the door, she suddenly thrust her foot out, trying to trip me. I stumbled but caught myself. "Oops," she chirped. "Hope you don't drop your scraps, peasant." I kept walking, kept breathing. If I turned around, something awful would happen. Outside, the patio was dark, the plastic chairs sticky with grime. I sat anyway, ate anyway. I could see them through the blinds, Sierra tossing her head back laughing, Victor pounding his fork into the table telling some loud story, Marilyn smiling like everything was perfect. My phone buzzed. Snap after snap from Sierra. One zoomed in on my empty seat. Caption: "Guess who's finally where they belong?" Faced with tears of joy, I gritted my teeth so hard my jaw popped. When I finished eating, I stood and turned back toward the house. But the slider was locked. I knocked. No response. Knocked harder. Inside, Sierra lifted her phone and took a video of me through the glass, like I was a freak at the zoo. The rage that had been building snapped. I slammed my fist into the glass so hard the whole frame rattled. Sierra screamed and stumbled back. Victor shot up from his chair, kicking it over with a deafening crash. "You want to be violent now?" he barked, storming toward the door. "You want to act like an animal?" I saw it coming before it even happened. The door slid open just a crack, enough for Victor to reach through and grab a fistful of my jacket. He yanked hard, pulling me halfway inside, then drove his fist into my chest. I staggered back, gasping, my plate crashing to the ground. "You want to live like a mutt?" he roared. "Fine. Get the hell out." He shoved me back with both hands, slamming the door shut with a bang. Lock clicking. Sierra laughing. Marilyn wiping her hands dry like she'd just finished cleaning up a spill. I stood there for a moment, stunned. Then I snapped. I marched around the side of the house, ripped open the side gate, stormed through the garage. Inside, the house still smelled like pot roast and cigarette smoke. It hit me in the gut, a sick smell of home. Victor met me halfway, eyes bloodshot, mouth a sneer. Sierra hovered behind him, still filming. Marilyn stayed frozen in the kitchen doorway. "Where you think you're going?" Victor demanded. "I'm done," I said, my voice low, shaking. "I'm getting my stuff. Then I'm gone." Victor took a step forward, chest puffed, trying to tower over me. I didn't back down. He raised a hand, not a slap this time. A real punch. I dodged it. I dropped my backpack and swung it, hard, catching him square in the side. He stumbled back, knocking a lamp off the side table. It shattered on the floor, sending sharp bits of glass flying. Sierra shrieked, backing up against the wall. Victor straightened up, face purple with rage. "Get out of my house," he roared. Gladly, I spat. I grabbed what I could: phone charger, wallet, jacket. My heart thudded in my ears. Adrenaline made my hands shake. As I sprinted for the door, Marilyn made a half-hearted sound. Maybe my name, maybe not. Didn't matter. The last thing I heard was Victor shouting after me. "You're dead to us, Logan. Dead." The front door slammed so hard behind me, the whole porch shook. I stood there in the dark, bleeding from where glass had cut my hand, backpack half open, jacket slung over one shoulder. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I belonged to them anymore. I didn't belong anywhere, but I belonged to myself. Noah didn't ask questions when I showed up bleeding and furious on his doorstep. He just pulled me inside, handed me a beer, and let me crash on his battered couch. No lectures. No, "Are you sure it was that bad?" Sympathy crap. Just space to breathe. I stared at the cracked ceiling, every nerve wired so tight I thought I'd explode. In my chest, it wasn't sadness or even anger anymore. It was nothing. I spent the next few days like a ghost, working both my jobs, crashing at Noah's, barely speaking. Every time my phone buzzed, I ignored it. Marilyn, Sierra, even Victor, a voicemail full of half-muttered threats and drunken rambling. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I didn't need to. They only remembered I existed when they needed someone to kick. By the second week, the real game started. First, it was money. Sierra Venmo'd me a demand for my half of the internet bill, even though I'd been paying it solo for months. I declined it without a word. Then Marilyn texted, "Can you come help set the Wi-Fi? It's not working after the storm." I stared at the screen for a long time. She didn't even ask if I was okay. She didn't care that Victor had cracked my ribs or that Sierra had filmed it all like a snuff film for her group chat. She just wanted the Wi-Fi. I didn't answer. Within a week, Noah started getting weird calls. Blocked numbers. Then a Facebook DM from Victor's old drinking buddy. "Hey, Logan, your dad said you're the only one who knows how to fix the heating system. Can you come by?" Noah looked at me, deadpan. "You want me to break his nose?" he asked. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I texted back, "Call a professional. I'm not your handyman." That's when the real breakdown started. Emails flooded in, long, rambling ones from Victor, guilt-tripping, threatening, begging all at once. Marilyn sent pictures of the broken refrigerator. Sierra sent a snap of the front yard, grass up to her knees. "Since you ran away, it's like living in a dump," she wrote. I left her on read. Funny. For years, I was the one who unclogged drains, reset fuses, handled the 1,000 tiny emergencies no one else could be bothered with. Now, without me, everything rotted. By the third week, Victor's facade started to crack wide open. One night Noah and I were playing video games when the buzzer rang. Noah went to check, then turned back, face grim. "Your dad's here." Before I could even react, Victor's fist pounded against the door so hard it rattled on its hinges. "Open the door," he bellowed. "You ungrateful little **T. I grabbed Noah's arm before he could do something stupid. "Nah," I said. "Let him tire himself out." Victor kicked the door so hard the wood splintered slightly around the frame. Noah was already dialing 911 when Victor finally gave up, staggering back down the stairs, cursing me loud enough to wake the whole block. When the cops showed up, I didn't press charges. Not yet, but I filed a report. Next day, Sierra blew up my phone with one-word texts. "Coward. Trash. Loser." She posted a video on her Instagram story, a slow pan of their crumbling house. Captioned, "Thanks, Logan." I didn't reply, but I did smile. Because for once, they were dealing with their own filth. They were the ones scrubbing mold off the walls, paying late fees, begging Comcast for mercy. They'd called me worthless my whole life. Turns out, I was the only thing holding their perfect little world together. When Marilyn finally cracked, it wasn't an apology. It was a plea. I opened my email one night to see a single message. "Please, Logan, just come home for a few hours. Just help. We miss you." No threats. No demands. Just desperation. I closed the laptop and cracked another beer. They didn't miss me. They missed what I did for them. I wasn't a son to them. I was a goddamn janitor. And if they thought they'd seen the worst, they were wrong. Because I wasn't just ignoring them now. I was pulling every single thread I'd ever stitched into their lives. Bills. Canceled. Passwords. Changed. Subscriptions. Cut off. The insurance. Guess what? My name was on it. So I canceled that too. When Sierra's car broke down, she had to beg Victor for a ride like a spoiled 6-year-old. When the electric bill lapsed, the power went out for 2 days. When the internet died completely, Sierra had a public meltdown at Starbucks, screaming at some poor barista because she couldn't stream Netflix. And through it all, Victor stewed in his moldy castle, too proud to call a plumber, too dumb to set up a Wi-Fi router. The man who punched his own son to the ground now sat powerless in the dark, shivering. I didn't feel bad. Not even a little. It wasn't revenge. It was balance. And God help them. They were only just starting to feel it. The final crack came a month later. I was working a late shift fixing a busted HVAC system when I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. When I checked it, it wasn't Victor or Marilyn or Sierra. It was Haley, my cousin. Her voice shook. Hey, Logan. I don't know if you've heard, but Uncle Victor's freaking out. The house is falling apart. The water heater exploded last night. Mom says Aunt Marilyn had to stay at a neighbor's house because there's no heat. Sierra's locked herself in her room and, anyway, they're saying you have to come back. Like it's bad. I replayed it once, twice, and then I laughed. A full, broken laugh that shook my whole body. They'd mocked me, beaten me, thrown me out like garbage. And now they were drowning, without even a matchstick to light the way. I didn't rush. I didn't call. But that night, out of pure curiosity, not loyalty, I drove past the old house. It was worse than I imagined. The front yard was wild, weeds taller than the mailbox, trash scattered across the driveway. The paint on the door peeled like sunburnt skin. In the window, I saw Marilyn pacing, clutching her phone. Sierra slumped on the couch, scrolling with dead eyes. Victor? He sat at the kitchen table, head in his hands, a half-empty bottle of whiskey sweating beside him. I parked across the street and watched. Nobody noticed. They never noticed unless they needed something. I sat there until the cold seeped into my bones, thinking about everything they'd done, everything they'd taken. And I realized something brutal. I didn't hate them. You hate people you once loved. What I felt was colder. Nothing. Just a dead patch where family was supposed to live. That's when Victor stumbled outside, barefooted, shirtless, looking more like a hobo than the proud patriarch he pretended to be. He spotted me across the street and bellowed, "Logan, get the hell over here." His voice cracked like an old whip. I didn't move. He staggered closer, weaving, dragging his leg like an injured dog. "You think you can just run off and leave us to rot?" he snarled. His voice carried across the empty street, raw and wild. "You owe us, boy." I rolled down the window, leaned out casually, and said, "I don't owe you **, Victor." He lunged toward the car. Too slow. I pulled forward a few feet, just out of reach, watching him stumble and nearly fall face first into the gravel. "You think you're better than us?" he screamed, veins popping in his neck. I stared at him, this bloated, broken shell of a man who used to terrify me, and felt nothing but pity. Not for him. For the boy I used to be. The one who wanted so badly to be loved by a monster. Victor's face twisted with rage. He reached down, grabbed a rock from the ground, and hurled it at my windshield. It bounced harmlessly off the hood. Pathetic. That was the moment I knew, really knew, that I was free. I hit the gas, drove off without looking back, leaving him screaming into the night. The next week, they tried new tactics. Marilyn sent a tear-streaked voicemail, apologizing for letting things get out of hand. Sierra posted a picture of our childhood, the two of us at some carnival, smiling, long before everything rotted. Victor sent one last message. "Come home, son. We'll start fresh." I swear. But I didn't answer. Not once. Instead, I built my own life. Noah and I picked up more side gigs, started our own business. Word spread fast. Logan's the guy you call when you want it done right. Even a few of Victor's old friends quietly became clients. I charged them double. One afternoon, Haley messaged me again. "You're not going to believe this," she wrote. Victor lost his job. Marilyn defaulted on the mortgage. Sierra moved in with her shady boyfriend. The house. Condemned. Broken pipes, mold, unpaid taxes. In the end, everything they built on cruelty and ego collapsed. I thought I'd feel triumphant, like I'd won. But standing in my tiny, crappy apartment, fixing a broken heater, I realized I had, not by destroying them, but by surviving them, by living, by refusing to be their scapegoat, their punchline, their shadow. They broke themselves. All I did was leave. And leaving was the greatest revenge of all. The end.